Okay.
All right, good afternoon. This is Jason Broughton here at the State Library, and today we are helping libraries get some ideas and planning for Financial Literacy Month or for Money Smart Week with that. If your library has not participated in an event such as that, it's pretty simple. You basically are going to consider some form of programming for the month of April in a variety of different contexts and topics where the citizenry or the public or your users can come in from anything to learn on debt consolidation, how to buy their first car, how to deal with credit if you don't have any, how to maintain it, how to deal with burial expenses, how to plan on having a child, how to deal with retirement, anything that comes with money and how we actually deal with it. For Money Smart Week, though, which is usually April 5th through the 12th, you would be required to at least do one program during that week if you are going to do just the Money Smart Week. So you have some choices. You may do anything through the entire month of April, or for Money Smart Week during that 1 week itself. Today, however, we're going to kind of jump into something that I learned about a few months ago, which was very shocking to me because I try to be up on a lot of information, and when I stumbled across this and was given some advice about it, I was kind of shocked that we actually have that here in South Carolina. So today we are going to be learning about SC economics, and we have two presenters today. We are going to listen to the information that they actually will provide for us today. And I think that you're going to really, really like it. Again, though, if you are going to ask a question, your mics are going to be muted, so I would like for you to please use the chat feature. Therefore, I can moderate the questions as they come in and provide them to our speakers here today. We also just released a poll item, so please vote on that so that we'll kind of gauge some sense about what people may know or may not know about organizations that are in South Carolina. If anyone also is having a problem, again, please use the chat feature so that I may try to assist you if I can in making sure that you have a nice, smooth webinar to listen to today. With that, however, we're just going to jump on in, and we are going to, in a sense, make sure that we work out the little glitches here. So let's go ahead and make sure that I can turn my screen over to our presenters here today. And Jim, are you there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
I can, thank you. So Jim is here, and Courtney, are you here?
I am. Thanks
All
for
right.
having me.
Perfect, perfect. Courtney, you're going to be driving, or you want me to give it to Jim?
Well, I'll go ahead and start, and
Okay, perfect.
Courtney's going to take over from there.
All right, so just let me know when, and then I will turn it over to Courtney as we begin. All right, so go ahead, and I'll let you take it away.
Okay, great. As introduced, I'm Jim Morris, and I'm the CEO for South Carolina Economics. Courtney Epting, here beside me, is our Director of Programs. SC Economics is also known as the South Carolina Council on Economic Education. It's harder to say all those words, and so we sort of shortened our name to SC Economics. So some of you may have heard of us, or at least some of our programs. We are presently, we're housed in the Darla School of Business on the USC campus. And we've been around for for 40 years or so. So we're not newbies to the scene. We're all we're all about economics, economic education. We have a tendency recently to focus a lot on the lower end of economic training, which includes financial literacy. But we do everything from in the entire pyramid at the top, international economics, macroeconomics, but then also down at the lower level, microeconomics, personal finance, financial literacy. And we have historically trained teachers to teach economics. But nowadays, with all the new digital methodologies and the distributed methods of learning, students in many cases, or parents, or clubs, they can use a lot of our resources. So not all of the learning has to go on in the classroom. So, but as a general rule, we try to provide resources to anyone who wants to either learn about or participate in economic education. And as you know, economics is a very broad topic. It's really the study of scarcity. If we all had everything we ever wanted, there'd be no requirement to make choices. We would just get whatever it is we wanted. But there isn't everything for everyone, and so we have to make choices all the time. Every day we make hundreds of choices, and many of them have economic consequences. So if you could go to I'm going to run through a couple of slides here. We'll put this up on the screen.
Okay. Give me a moment. Let me go ahead and change presenter.
Okay. While you're doing that, we'll talk to you a little bit about what we do. We want to be a resource for you, and ideally we want to be a free resource for you. There's a lot of things on the internet training. You could just Google and get a lot of fun little things and activities. We like to sort of know about a lot of these things and help you or help anyone to determine what they need. So this is really what we do. We are a statewide organization, a nonprofit. We do get a certain amount of funding from the state. And so we feel it's a responsibility to do everything we can to provide resources for you. And wherever possible, all of our educational resources, what we try to do is tie them back to existing educational standards within the state of South Carolina. That way you're not out there trying to do something, some good idea. You're actually, in many cases, doing something or teaching something that goes back to an existing educational standard. Next slide. Okay, and so we are, as I think I mentioned most of the things on here, here just in the last year we reached about 900 teachers, 85,000 students all around the state of South Carolina. And our competitions, which we're going to talk a little bit about, there have been about 1,000 or so teams in these competitions, and we like to give away money and incentivize students to participate in some of these games. So we give away a lot of prizes.
I'm not sure if the librarians really like a lot of money,
Well,
information is nice.
It goes to the winners. But as I said, a lot of this is done in the classroom, but a lot of it is done outside classrooms. Boys and Girls Clubs, Department of Juvenile Justice has some programs we're working on. The things we try to bring to you are, we try to put the things in the context of life's activities. So you're learning not something purely for the sake of learning it, but it's put in the perspective of life skills. We know that everybody's a little different, and not all the students fit into the same egg carton. We know that teachers can't possibly know all the information, and so they really become more facilitators. And in many cases, the libraries are getting into that more and more because they are a repository that often has internet, which is so important for young people today. And of course, research is a huge key, because if you're going to make a choice, you have to know what your choices are. And So we embrace technologies. We like the fact that kids, they have a tendency to learn from when peers are teaching them. But it's a collective effort. Next slide. So this is about life skills. We also are trying to slowly change the way people think about their, quote, their college degree, their education. For so long, people, certainly in the last 40 years, we have said, hey, look, go to college. And I'm by no means trying to say don't go to college. But we're not going to college just to get a piece of paper. There are a lot of skills where a college degree is not even needed. More and more, we need to have skills as well as a certain level of education. So we want those who are inclined towards college, that's fine, but we embrace those who are trying to learn a skill such as certificates that give them, I have a son who has 2 certificates, one a GXPN, which means nothing to most of you all, but it's a small thing he got in a couple of weeks, but it gave him a job where he now is working in Manhattan making 6 figures, and he's only 21 years old as of last weekend. These credentials can be a pathway to prosperity for them. Next slide. So, then next slide. I'll leaf through some of these things. I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the workshops that we have, and we can do these workshops at libraries. Wherever there's a need, we have a tendency to historically put together the workshops and let people know that they're there, and then we get a certain number of attendees. But if you can get 15 individuals, teachers or instructors or whatever together, we'll come see you. We'll do all the cost associated with that. And then we have a number of competitions because they're just plain fun. And then we have some other programs like Financial Flicks, which I really want to highlight, which brings a lot of resources straight to you. We also can't do anything by ourselves. We're very aggressively collaborate with a lot of people around the state. Next slide. We have a lot of curriculum, curriculum and resources and lesson plans and things, and it's all the way from the little mini economy, which helps teachers to in elementary or middle school to have a classroom in which they create their own internal economy, and everybody gets paid a certain thing. They represent various positions in society. They pay taxes, and it puts all of these things in the context of what goes on in the world. We have Financial Fitness for Life, virtual economics, and entrepreneurship is another big one where we're trying to get folks to understand that that college degree, the piece of paper, that not being the only path. Many folks want to do their own thing, but they don't quite know how to get there. So we try to help facilitate that, and that goes across the board, both in college and those that may go into the technical environments. And then the advanced placement economics, which is really at the higher end. Not everybody is ready to get into AP economics. As a matter of fact, a lot of teachers don't get much economic training or education before they are then required to teach economics, for which there's a half a credit required just to be able to graduate from high school. So we help those teachers with resources and a full understanding of economics. We hire professors around the state who come in and teach these things. Next slide. The competitions are a lot of fun for very young people. In elementary school, we have a poster competition. They learn things like opportunity cost. They draw pictures, some of these things. We put them in a calendar, and it's kind of cool. The finance challenge is real basic, some basic things, a lot of fun, very easy, can be put together in a very easy way, and it's multiple choice questions that everybody should really know, certainly by the time you finish graduate school. The stock market game is probably one of the ones most of you have heard of, only because it's a lot of fun. We give $100,000 of virtual money to teams. Like I said, there are about 1,000 teams out there playing all these competitions, but we give them $100,000, and this group of 3 to 5 individuals has to make decisions about what they're going to do with their money. and they buy stock. And it's really not about the stock market as much as it is about all the math that goes behind it. The earnings per share. Well, how do you end up with a fraction like that, or a relation there? Or the time value of money, which is an algebraic equation. It's also about the research, the English language art, the research that's associated with it. Many of the things that we have done in our history have been for economic reasons. We go to war for economic reasons, protect resources, and such like that. And then as you move, so the stock market game, and I'll let Courtney finish up with that one later, but we also have the economics challenge, which is more of a higher order of economics, and it finishes up here at the Darla Moore School. A lot of fun, a lot of buzzers, and then people win cash prizes. And more we're trying to encourage the entrepreneurship piece so that people will go out and start their own businesses. And because that's what the vast majority of the workforce is in the United States, has been created by small business. So we'd love for people to give that a shot. Next slide. I'm just going to go quickly through these. This is the places. The red dots represent the places where last year we had the stock market game in the spring. Next slide. This is where we had the economics challenge around the state. Next slide. This is where the finance challenge occurred around the state, the schools, and this is where the poster competition. Next slide. And those we have in the last year, both semesters, we have doubled our participation rate in all of these competitions, both the teachers, the number of students, the teams, etc. So it's really catching on. I think you'll find a lot of programs out there like Transform South Carolina and others where there's quite an effort now to say, hey, look, there's other ways to learn other than a sage on the stage, a teacher up on the lectern. And so these competitions happen to fit right in with that quite well. We do, as I said, have a large circle of friends. These were just organized because there's a lot of, you have to be involved with the state level policymakers. In some cases, we love the entrepreneur and business cases. And then a lot of it is the owners of curriculum and teachers, etc. And then there's a lot of for-profit. You can go in there and just Google looking for all of the many games and activities. We don't care which ones you use. Every teacher is going to be a little different, but they have a tendency to stumble in on the ones that they like or that excite them, and that's fine. But there's plenty of them out there. Next slide. And what I'm going to do now is I want you all to be aware of a program. We've paid for the lease for Film Flicks, which is it's the old Biz Kids, which is still on TV today. It's an award-winning program. But what we have done is we have got those videos, and there's probably 600 videos, 1 to 5 minute videos. They're a great resource for teachers or anybody really that's just involved with financial literacy. You don't have to know much to show a video and then get the class involved in answering the questions. And there are also a lot of lesson plans associated with it too. This is just a small piece. It only talks about business and financial literacy, but it's available to anybody, anywhere within the borders of South Carolina because it's been geographically filtered. What we've also tried to do is tie these to the standards. So I'm going to turn this over now to Courtney, who is going to talk a little bit about this, and then we'll open it up for some questions.
All right. Hi, everyone. Before I get into Financial Flicks, I wanted to give you an overview of our website. So it's steconomics.org, and if you were to visit, this is our home screen, and you can navigate through our website using the tabs at the top. Like Jim said, we do have multiple student competitions, and so those would be listed under our programs. Teacher training, and something that might be of interest is that we do a teacher training called Teaching Economics through Children's Literature. And so we've done workshops using the Hunger Games. There are curriculum pieces out there using Lawn Boy. And so we really tried to go from the Three Little Pigs all the way up to 12th grade economic principles using literature to really hit home with the students where they're going to be at in their learning process.
One question, Courtney.
Sure.
Would librarians be able to take part in that teacher training?
Absolutely.
Okay. And
Absolutely.
a question was, is the training like held in a specific location or time of day, or how does it kind of work, or is it online?
Most of our trainings are full day training, so generally from 8:30 to 3:30. We can cut those down, so if there is a need or a desire for a 3-hour session, then we can do that as well. Most of our trainers would prefer to have at least an hour to 2 hours just to cover as much of the material as possible. I know for our Hunger Games workshop, it was a full 6 hours. And if the whole library system wants to get together and say, hey, we want to have this training, then we can meet that need, and it could be anywhere in the state.
Okay, thank you. Wow, that answers some questions. All right.
And we pay the bill for that, so it's not free, but you don't have to pay for it.
Oh, even better.
All right. So did that answer all the questions you had at the moment?
It did.
Perfect. If you go to resources, at the top we do have free lessons here. So anything from earning income to why people trade. And this just kind of gives an overview of some of the examples. Like, for instance, here's the grasshopper and the ant. So we do a financial literacy piece around that. The topic that Jim was really wanting to show you guys is the financial flicks. And it's here on our homepage. And if you scroll down to highlights, it's right here. And what's really great about this is we're actually going to enter the financial literacy realm, because I know that most of you are trying to prepare for April. And we're just I'm going to sign as an other right now. And you're just going to enter the site. All right, and so like we stated earlier, most of these are presented by BizKids, which is a national TV show that focuses on financial literacy. And if you look to your left here, we have different topics, so anything from credit and debit to life skills, money management. And if you click on one of these topics, you'll get a drop-down menu of different items. What's really great about financial flicks is that we also have correlated them to South Carolina standards. So if you're talking to a teacher or even a student and you're trying to make sure that they're meeting the needs that the K-12 system is putting on them, then you can just go to the resources. I'll show that again. You go to resources and then South Carolina standards correlations. And right here, our financial literacy is correlated to the personal finance class, which is course 5131 in the finance cluster through the South Carolina Department of Education. And so we've broken it down by standards. So the first standard in financial literacy is safety and ethics. And it'll have a video that correlates with that particular standard. And so I'm just going to click on ethics and me, and it'll bring up that video. And we could play the video. In fact, I'll play it for about a minute or so. Most of these videos are going to be anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes. And this is available to anyone in the state, like we stated. And so this is really a anywhere, anytime, as the need fits. So we're going to watch a little video about ethics.
I was a black hat hacker, someone that illegally breaks into computers. Being ethical meant doing the right things, not only for yourself, but for everyone involved. My name is Ujovi Noor. I start companies. My major company is a computer security company. I grew up in Bedford-Stuyvesant, and they called it Bed-Stuy, do or die. Basically, I grew up in a neighborhood that was really tough. You were surrounded by crime. You were surrounded by drugs. Very little opportunity. I had very good role models. My uncle, who was college educated, he had a computer at home. I started exploring. When I went on the internet, when I went online, I didn't have to be a 13-year-old poor kid in Bedford-Stuyvesant. I can be anything or anyone I wanted to be. Became a hacker. It wasn't because I wanted to steal or break. I got access to millions, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of equipment. When you're trespassing on the internet, when you're breaking into systems on the internet, it's very easy to commit crimes when you imagine there's no victims. It's only bits and bytes. When I was about 14 or 15 years old, I called up one of my victims. It was my first time associating a human with what I was doing. I said, look, I just broke into your system, but I wanted to tell you how I did it and how you could fix it. I don't think he was expecting a 15-year-old kid to show up. 30 minutes later, he called me up, and he offered me a job. I realized that this was something I wanted to do as a career. The guy really gave me a job and an opportunity. I took the skill that I had and tried to make money from it. I started my first company, which was a computer security company, and it's been very successful. Within a year, it was making $2 million a year. I have a book telling everyone in the world about my life. Never would have imagined that this happened. You have to start with some belief of what you consider right or wrong. As a hacker, that meant understanding that on the other side of the computer, there was an individual, there was a person, there was a family, there was a story. You have to be conscious of that. So really developing ethics, for me, was about understanding that the world isn't only about me. To be successful in life, you have to work with other people. You have to think about others.
I guess I have to return the money.
All right, so I'm going to stop it there. About 7 seconds shy of the end of it. And so, like I said, there are multiple sections on the left-hand side of the screen, and you can really just browse through a bunch of different options as far as what you're trying to achieve. If you're looking for videos on saving or investing, then we have videos on taxes and inflation. You can also look at full programs. So if you want to know what is money, there is a complete guide that is the full 30-minute program that would have been on TV on what is money. And you can go through this entire 20-minute or 28-minute process, or you can just choose the little segments that are part of that overarching idea.
Yep. And then it also has shown the guide. I think you had it at the bottom, the guide, which is basically lesson plans. On a lot of these, you have there. It says the full program. I forgot what went. Go with full program guides. Just let's see if that was it. Okay. And what is money? Okay. What they have. This is an example of a lesson plan. And so, somebody could read through the lesson plan, and really you don't have to have an awful lot of training on it ahead of time. It just gives you the lesson plan and what the resources are you need. So really it can be done by somebody just having read the lesson plan ahead of time and then facilitating the dialogue with the young folks as they go through some of the videos.
And I will add to that and say that as far as all of our resources go, so from our Financial Fitness for Life resource guide, which is broken up into grade bands, so we have K2, 3, 5, 6, 8, and 9, 12, and that's anything from saving and investing to money management. Those topics, the resources are not for teachers necessarily. Everything that we have is presented in a way that if you have never taught a class, everything you need to know about financial literacy or about economics for that particular lesson is part of the lesson. It really walks you through everything you need to know.
Let's see if there's any questions. Do you have any questions at all at this point?
None. Hold on. Let's see. None yet. Everybody's kind of quiet. I think they're just trying to absorb it, I think, currently.
Okay, well, that's fine. The way we, as I said, our business model is such that we try to train as many teachers or instructors or facilitators as possible. it's hard for us to actually be the ones giving the class for students because there are simply so many students out there. There are only 4 of us, by the way, here in the Darla Moore School with this project. So we're not able to run around and actually do the class. I mean, we can do the class for the instructors and teachers, or we hire somebody and we pay them a stipend to do the training. But so you have to sort of be prepared ahead of time, is what I'm trying to say. Although we are connected to a lot of teachers and interested people throughout the community, and we'll work with you in many other ways. I mean, JA, Junior Achievement, has some other similar programs to what we have, and there are all sorts of programs. If you just go in and Google what you might be interested in, I'm amazed at how much material is actually out there, and the kids can kind of learn on their own. We have another thing called a game called Geni Revolution, and this is a game that, you know, if you get on there and if you're if you're in your 50s, you know, you'll probably get stuck just like you would if you were playing some Call of Duty game. You'll last about 15 seconds, and then you won't be able to go any farther. But the kids, they understand it because they've grown up and they're digital natives, and so you just throw them in front of the computer with nothing, and they figure it out real fast. So Geni Revolution is one of those things where a student or a young person goes online, and and it's geared towards probably middle to high school level, although there are a couple of types, and they have to work their way. They choose an avatar, they choose skills. They get asked questions, and they are battling what we call the Murktide, which is the bad guys. And they have to work through all of these problems, and they do a little research, which is all contained in the program. And so it becomes a bit competitive. So one of the things we don't mind doing is providing a little bit of an incentive if you've got a large group of students, and you need a $25 or $50 prize for the for the competition to help incentivize it. We don't mind helping with some of that too. So, because part of what we do is we are good at trying to find money for good causes, and economics and financial literacy and those kinds of things are generally recognized as pretty. There's certainly a need out there, and so we try to raise the money and then roll it right over to whoever needs it. For the project. So I just want you to know that those are the generic things. If you got any other questions.
And I've put our email addresses on the screen and our contact information. So if you should have any questions and you just don't want to put it over the webinar, feel free to send me an email or give me a call, and I would be more than happy to address those issues one-on-one.
Okay.
Nothing
Jason,
yet.
is that
I'm
do
here.
you need
Nothing
anything
yet.
else, or you want us to go back into the? I don't want to just drag it on unless somebody has a specific question.
I'm just checking the chat right now to see.
Oh, you perfect.
Oh, we're doing pretty fine. So no issues.
And that's fine. Sometimes it's hard to know what to ask, right off the cuff. But
There is one on young college students for like academic libraries or technical colleges. What
yes,
resources are best suited for them?
Okay, well, let me. One of the programs that we have, we invite a guy named Tom Ledbetter, who's a great. He works at the technical school, Midlands, the Enterprise campus, and he's got a great brief that he gives to a lot of high school level kids just as they're closing in, juniors and seniors, they're getting ready to hit that point where they're going off to college or not. They're leaving the nest. And his presentation, he based it on his own daughter, who was getting ready to leave and go out of school. So I said, okay. He says, what's it going to cost for you to move out? And he walks through every part of it. Okay, how much is an apartment going to cost you? What about the deposit? What about your air conditioning, your internet? Okay, so you want a car. Okay, how much is it going to cost you? What's the insurance, the maintenance, the registration? Okay, how much are you going to pay for food? How much you just roll. He rolls all through these things, and he's constantly keeping a tally of what it costs. And it's kind of an eye-opener. We gave the presentation over at the middle college over here in Columbia, and all the kids were asking for the, when they first got in there, they didn't all have the handout, and then as they were leaving, they were all asking, hey, could I get a copy of that handout? So it resonated with them because it sort of laid out a life skill of just exactly what it would cost you, and that's just part of a budgeting process. One of the things, kids need, or we all, not just kids, but we all need the information at the point in time that we need it. In many cases, if you read about something, but the interest is not there, it doesn't soak in. But then all of a sudden, you get the right age, you get the right point, the right time, and you want the answer right away. So that's part of what we're trying to move a little bit more and more towards, and so we're changing a lot of what we do, but we want to try to make that information available at the point in time of need. But I will say this: the briefing that Tom Ledbetter gives, and we'll be glad to connect you. He travels around and does this. I think he's probably given it about 600 times.
Okay.
That's just one of the many, the many little things we have. So.
And I will add to that the stock market game also has a division for post-secondary students. So for any student, and I know for sure that I can mention the Orangeburg Calhoun Tech, they every semester have a class that participates in the stock market game. And it's just a matter of when you register, choosing that you are a post-secondary student, and the teacher can even set it up so that they monitor every student in their class's activity throughout the game. Another option is that we are open to creating something. So if, for instance, I know I went to Carolina, and there were a lot of writing competitions. If a student or if a school wants to create a student competition where they create their own children's book using financial literacy or economic concepts, then we would definitely back that. And we could use those resources when we go to the K-12 system. If it's an education department and they want to create lessons for financial literacy, then we could be the judge of those. And once again, if it helps our mission in promoting, financial literacy and economic education, and the students at the college level are getting that education, but then we can use what they're providing to then move forward into the smaller or younger children, then that's a bonus for us.
Perfect.
The stock market game is a fun one because it can be done in distributed ways. It's a lot of teachers use them in the class, but then a lot of them use them as a combination of in class and then after school too, which would be a great way to do something in a library, in a library setting as a possibility. Okay.
Perfect. All right. We have no current questions right now, so I think people are just simply absorbing it all in. I'm quite sure you might be getting some calls, though, after this.
And that's perfectly fine. We just want to sort of whet somebody's appetite, and we'd love to collaborate with the library, any of the libraries. both in short term, because I know you're looking at April being Financial Literacy Month, but also to develop something in a longer term. We'll be glad to help you facilitate that. We're not looking to be, to gain a lot of credit. We just want to facilitate. We feel like that's what part of the state funding is for, is to help other organizations get where they're trying to go, as long as it has something to do with economics, which is just not that hard to do.
Perfect. Really glad to hear that. Well, all right. I guess we're going to wind it down just a little bit. A few items to close our items. We will be having a second webinar, and with this one that will be coming up, it will be myself, Pamela Hoppock, who is in library development, and Christy Sly, our continuing ed educator here. The three of us will be talking about resources and programming for children, teens, and adults when it comes to Financial Literacy Month. So with that, we hope to give you a whole host of ideas from national, state, and local resources that you can utilize, just to give you a plethora of ideas, from the strange and odd and obscure, which could simply be how to plan a funeral and do it cost effectively. Yes, there are people who think like that. Make sure that my ashes cost no more than about $1,000 if you have to burn me up, through cremation, to people who want to have the most extravagant funerals or send-off, whatever. So you do need to plan for that if that's what you want. So that's just one of many ideas, from, again, like I said, the strange and obscure to just common everyday items that we'll be bringing you. But with that, there will be a large amount of information on what some libraries are doing across the country to give you a snapshot of just what can be done. So it will be a very interesting, entertaining, and fun amount of information that we'll be presenting to you. So please look forward to getting an email giving the date and the time for that webinar, and we hope to see you on our list. With that, today I'd like to thank SC Economics for being a part of our webinar today. We greatly appreciate it here at the State Library, and we hope that it has been very useful to you as a library, and will give you some ideas to kind of do some programming at your library. If there are no questions with that, we're getting ready to sign off. And for those who attended, you will be getting a small survey to ask for your advice and interpretations of what has been discussed today. Thank you again so much for coming out, well, sitting in your seat rather, versus coming out, for our webinar today. Thank you so much. Have a great, wonderful afternoon.